Commodore Adams, it's an honor and a privilege to have you with us on Weekend Deal today.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Amazing. Let me say the most obvious thing, please. I saw you shaking our DG's hand. So you've been walking in here without even coming to mark present in the studio.
Well,
You've been to NTA before?
Yes. I mean, NTA is the most veritable voice of Nigerian media.
Thank you, sir.
So we always start from NTA.
Indeed. What an amazing thing to do. Good thing we're hearing it from the officer and the gentleman himself. We can also start another obvious thing. Every year, for quite a while, in fact since 1970, we have been commemorating not just our fallen heroes, but the sacrifices that the armed forces is making constantly for the Nigerian people, protecting our territorial integrity and keeping us safe, whether we are awake or we're sleeping. From that time, 1970, up till now, how has the celebration on January 15th changed, improved, impacted, and pushed us forward, would you say?
Okay, thank you very much. So I'll start with, let's trace the origin of Armed Forces Remembrance Day, now christened Armed Forces Celebration and Remembrance Day. 15th January 1970 was when the Instrument of Surrender was signed by Philip Effiong to mark the end of Nigerian Civil War, which kept Nigeria as one indivisible and united entity. But the history of this celebration still precedes that date. As far back as while the colonialists were still in Nigeria, 11th November was known as the Poppy Day. P-O-P-P-Y. Poppy Day was a day that veterans serving under British colonial military who fought in World War I and World War II were remembered. So this is the origin of remembering veterans post-conflict. And it remained so until Nigeria adopted 15 January, based on our own peculiar history. Now, going forward, the celebrations are made to honor first the fallen heroes of the Civil War. Then subsequently, we began to see Nigeria's participation in international missions. UNIFIL, Lebanon. In the 1980s, Nigerian Navy in particular participated in that operation.
Okay.
Coming down, ECOMOG was a major turning point for Nigeria, but more so for West Africa. Nigerian Navy was the most prominent sea lift platform for the entire West Africa. Then we had vessels like Nigerian Navy ship Ambe, Nigerian Navy ship Ophium, which lifted Nigerian troops from Lagos to Liberia to Sierra Leone, and also evacuated those people who were caught up in the conflict. It was a major operation. In the process, many of our personnel also paid the supreme sacrifice. Now we can come forward again. 2016, Operation Restore Democracy in the Gambia, when there was a political impasse at the end of President Yahya Jammeh's tenure. It was still the Nigerian Navy that sent a fleet comprising of an offshore patrol vessel and other supporting vessels as a show of force, what we call gumbo diplomacy, that eventually quelled that impasse. We come down again to the year 2022. It was also the Nigerian Navy that lifted, using Nigerian Navy ship Kada, one of the most modern logistic vessels in the world today, that lifted military equipment to Guinea-Bissau to support the contingent there as a stabilization force. More recently, since 2023, Nigeria as a country has been delisted from International Maritime Bureau piracy lists, meaning that between then and now, there has been no incident of piracy in Nigerian waters. Now,
For 2 years.
3 now.
Okay.
Yes. But the more important aspect is that when you look at the area, the sea area called the Gulf of Guinea, from Senegal down to Cote d'Ivoire, down to Benin, Togo, Nigeria, as far down as Angola, it is the Nigerian Navy that is actually the guardian of this sea area. And this takes a toll on the men and on the personnel. So the celebration of Armed Forces Remembrance Day is important, and it is something that must continue as a motivator for all that we do. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I mean, the Nigerian Army, we say kudos. The Nigerian Navy, I say kudos to you. I mean, you just went to reinforce the fact that behind every uniform is a story of service and sacrifice.
Yes.
But let me ask you, what does service mean to a soldier? What does service truly mean to a soldier? What would you say is service?
Thank you for that question. To answer you directly, I'll give an example.
Okay.
Real life, real time, a little bit emotional, but it's good to put it out there.
Okay.
In July last year, 2025, MV Ambika, a civilian vessel, was distressed at sea off Bonny waters. Waters were rough, the vessel wasn't doing so good. There were about 50 persons on board who were endangered. So the Nigerian Navy in that locale, we have an operating base in that locality, Ford Operating Base Bonny. We sent out our men in our speedboats, fast attack boats, to rescue the 59 persons on board. That mission was led by a young officer, Lieutenant Commander Gideon Yashim Gwaza. It was successful.
Wow.
All 59 persons were rescued.
Oh, that's nice.
But Lieutenant Commander Gideon Yashim Gwaza lost his life in that process. He was the only casualty. That is service. Service is when, as a personnel, you know that I may go into this operation, I may succeed, but I may not return. So that is service.
Wow. Once again, Nigerians
emotional.
celebrate the Nigerian Armed Forces. Indeed, every day when you're working, W-O-R-K, working and walking, you are truly, truly keeping us poised to celebrate our great country because of your sacrifice day in, day out. I want to thank you immensely. And I know
Then, Commander Alaya, you've done it again. You and your team, amazing work. We're dancing all through. But my guests did not really dance. So I'm wondering, do you like music, Commodore Adams? Do you love music?
Yes, I love music. And Nigerian Navy Steel Band is the best in Africa.
They are.
Yeah.
They are. Honestly, they are. That was beautiful.
I don't want to take us away from the topic of
yes,
the
I
day,
agree, but once in a while, it's my small waiting.
you don't have to even tap your leg a little bit.
He didn't even move. He was just sitting.
Or perhaps you hear this so often that you've gotten so attuned to great music and presentation.
Not really. We appreciate our music department. They do a fantastic job. The origins of this band come from the Caribbean.
Oh,
Yes, but I
okay.
don't want to take us away from the topic of
Okay,
the
good.
day.
one.
Thank you.
Good
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, I would ask a question. You know, before we went to Port Harcourt and before the music, you talked about an amazing sacrifice by the officer Gwaza, Gideon Gwaza. But I would ask a question: how do you honor such a sacrifice as a body? How do you honor such, I don't even know, commitment to work? so that young officers who have seen it will not hold back and say, I'm not going there? How do you honor such a legacy?
Okay, thank you, Patience. So let me start from specific. So specifically, late Lieutenant Commander Gideon Yashim Gwaza was promoted posthumously to the rank of commander.
Amazing.
Just recently, yesterday or 2 days ago, he was given the Distinguished Fallen Heroes Award by the Defense Headquarters.
Oh, right there. He's right there.
Yeah,
oh, amazing. Amazing. What a great man.
And a lot more. But let's remind ourselves that there's nothing you can do to pay for life.
No.
So I think that answers your question.
That answers my question. Yeah.
Okay, good one.
Thank you so much.
Just before we also went on the break, okay, let me talk about what we just heard. You know, I'm hardly surprised that some of their top-notch performances today have gone nationwide. First of all, they went far. They've been to Edo State, where they taught base with Sir Victor Waifo of blessed memory. And then we saw something from Davido's table as well. And I'm sure with this performance, everyone also agrees that the Grammy indeed is coming home to Nigeria very soon with You, a collabo by Omale and Davido. But meanwhile, let's come back to our focus. The armed forces is a collaborative effort, and as you come in, you do understand that from the get-go. We know over the years, they have been able to bridge so many gaps and make Nigerians proud, like we always say, and safe. Tell us about a few of the collaborative efforts and what it takes to work in unison to bring peace and stability to Nigeria.
So, thank you, Thelma. So, let me lay a premise. The current Chief of the Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Lydia Abbas, Admiralty Medal, he was appointed 24 October 2025, and he assumed command of the Nigerian Navy on 30th October 2025. Shortly after his assumption of command, he itemized his vision for the Nigerian Navy, which is to have a mobile, agile, and professional naval force dedicated to securing Nigeria's maritime interests and advancing national security objectives in synergy with other security agencies. Now, that second part is the premise for the answer to your question. Advancing national security objectives in synergy with other security agencies. We want to do a chronological order. Bonny Landing, 1967, Nigeria Civil War. It was the army that was lifted by the Navy to land in Bonny and secure the blockade of Biafra. So Biafra could not expand to that flank. So you see, the army are the boots on ground. We provided sea lifts, and at some point we provided what we call gunfire support from the shore. So while the army is doing their thing effectively, we are at the shore providing that blockade, So also the ECOMOG operation I spoke about earlier, it was the Nigerian army that went into Liberia and Sierra Leone and ensured that the crisis came to an end. United Nations came much later. What did the Navy do? We also provided sea lift and gunfire support. So essentially, in military operations, we have what is known as the supported commander and the supporting commander. More often than not, the Nigerian Navy and the Nigerian Air Force are supporting commanders to the Nigerian Army, who are the boots on ground. Let's bring it home now. Reality today. Most pertinent issue in the minds of most of us Nigerians is the war against terror.
Yeah.
So you look at the northeast of Nigeria, particularly Borno State, capital Maiduguri. In Maiduguri, we have the headquarters of what is known as the Theater Command. That Theater Command is led by a Major General. He's an army officer. But under the Major General in the theater, we have three components: land component, maritime component, and air component. The land components are on their feet all the time, 24 hours a day, in all the nook and crannies of the theater. The air components provide air support. I'm sure you have heard a lot of media reports of airstrikes taking out terrorists. Now, the maritime component, the clip that was shown, January 1, my chief of naval staff was in Baga in Lake Chad. In Lake Chad, the Nigerian Navy has a base, naval base, Lake Chad, fully functional to ensure, you know, the Lake Chad is a triangle. You have Niger Republic, you have Chad Republic, you have Nigeria. So the Nigerian end of the Lake Chad is secured by the Navy. We have a commander there, Commodore Peter Gambo Yume. The CNS went there 1st of January. The CNS went on a naval boat and we sailed the Lake Chad. In recent years, that was not possible because of the nefarious elements in that area who are cross-border terrorists. They are not domiciled in Nigeria. They pass through the lake. So, you see, I've been able to show you that Army, Navy, Air Force, we actually work together in synergy. And that is the vision of the Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Idi Abbas, to advance national security objective in synergy with other security agencies. Permit me to mention Department of State Services and every other security agency, including civil defense, are all involved in this. Yeah, so the synergy in Nigerian military and security forces right now, I think, is at its best ever level.
Wow.
Thank you.
Okay. 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 So, whether we like it or not, the synergy is very important, and we must continue that synergy. Nigeria is a democratic nation. Now, how do we build more trust between the military and the civilian so that there'll be better understanding?
Okay, thank you. So what you're talking about is, some people call it civil-military relations, CMR. Other people call it civil-military cooperation, CIMIC. The first understanding is that every military man in Nigeria, whether Army, Navy, or Air Force, is first a Nigerian. Is first a civilian. None of us were born military. So there's no dichotomy. So the dichotomy.
Why do you call us bloody civilians? If that be the case, why do you call us bloody civilians?
So we were all born civilians. So military training just makes you focus on a job, which has national responsibility.
Indeed.
Some people may propagate tribal or parochial narratives, but the military man only thinks of national objective.
Nation first.
Nation first. So how do we bridge that gap? There are so many initiatives in place. I know the Air Force have their initiative, I know the Army have their initiative, but I'll talk about the Nigerian Navy initiative on civil-military relation and civil-military cooperation. Sometime last year, the Nigerian Navy instituted what we call Chief of the Naval Staff Quick Impact Project. Now, Chief of the Naval Staff Special Intervention Quick Impact Project is aimed towards bringing quick intervention to far-flung communities in the most basic ways. I give you so many examples. We've been to Zaria, where healthcare was provided, a primary healthcare center. We've been down south to Bayelsa, where several boreholes were provided, in Gombe, in Bauchi, in so many areas. The CNS Quick Impact Project is actually touching lives.
It's activated and actionable. Let's hold our thoughts there. Thank you so much, Commander. I know that for you guys to work assiduously, undeterred, unrelentingly, is because
we are protected. Commodore Adams.
Yes. We are back.
We are back to our conversation, and we'll continue to look at the Nigerian military as a defender of what we are, who we are, sovereignty in Nigeria. Do you think that the average civilian understands the service of the military men and women in Nigeria? Do you think that civilians know more or are carried along as far as what you represent is concerned?
Well, I think the average civilian does understand. I think they do. But we are here today.
Yes.
So we can maybe do some form of, do I call it teaching or explanation? All right, so for every sovereign nation, we have what is called elements of national power and then instruments of national power. Elements of national power refer to geography, natural resources, topography, things you can exploit to make your nation powerful. Oil is an example, and so many other things. Now, instruments of national power, on the other hand, refer to what projects a nation in the Committee of Nations, in the international space. Basically, they are grouped into 4: diplomatic, information, military, and economic. We have seen what happened recently in the Western Hemisphere between the United States and Venezuela. That's power projection using American military. Okay, so we'll bring it home to Nigeria. Nigerian military is the most virile instrument of Nigeria's power projection. So, and I can still narrow it a little for understanding. Looking at the West African and Central African coasts, Senegal, Gambia, down to Angola, is a maritime space, large maritime space. What happens within that area? For you to control that space, you must have the capability to be present at sea. Indeed. Within this space, I can confidently say it's only Nigerian Navy that has the capability not only to be present at sea, but to remain at sea. And I give you another example. Just last year, the Nigerian Navy signed a memorandum of agreement with African Union to provide sea lift for African Union forces within the entire African maritime space. As far as I know, it is only the Nigerian Navy that has such an agreement with African Union, meaning that when African Union needs to move in a big way, the Nigerian Navy will move the African Union. So that is a projection of national power.
Good one. Good one.
So it must be appreciated. Maybe we did not know, but now we know.
Good one.
And it's an example.
We are well equipped, information-wise, and being the giant of Africa, it comes with enormous responsibilities. So we carry our own well. We don't dull on our responsibility. I was going to talk about women and veterans. I know when I was younger, I tried for the army 3 times. You see the way they locked the door, me.
You did.
The 3rd time, the fill was F-E-I-L, not F-A-I-L. I generally carried my bag and ran home. But that would be another conversation, perhaps.